Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to give you an absolute game changer when it comes to your Facebook ad creative and your Instagram ad creative. Tons of Facebook advertisers, they're trying to improve their results. You might be testing new images, new videos, new slideshows, making adjustments to colors and copy elements, and often things that get you incremental improvements, and that's absolutely stuff you want to do. It's something that I recommend. But if you want something that's going to make a big difference all in one go, sort of as close to a silver bullet as you're ever going to get with Facebook ads, particularly when it comes to the creative side of Facebook ads, this is it. What I'm about to share in this video is it. So I think you're going to find this very useful, very interesting. Before I get into that, I just want to very quickly ask you to hit that like button. That really helps me out. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you are new. I release Facebook advertising related content just like this all the time. So if that's what you're into, I think it'd be well worth doing. Okay, so to help explain how we're going to talk about the significance of this, I've got an example ad in front of us. Now I'm in an example ad account. This ad is part of the Facebook page campaign I created a few days ago whilst recording a separate video all about growing a Facebook page following. And you don't need to worry about the specifics of this ad. You know, it's not even edited right. You know, part of my name is cut off. But I wanted to use this because I wanted to highlight something about this ad that you don't tend to see very often in Facebook ads that can make a big difference. This ad has got a picture of me in it, okay? Now, we know that when we're running Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns, we are trying to convince people to take a certain action, whether that's purchase, become a lead, etc., etc. And we use all sorts of tools at our disposal to do that. We talk about the price point being competitive. We talk about the benefits associated with the product or service. But one thing, and this is not unknown in digital marketing space, is there are certain individuals, certain people that will have influence over your target market. Of course, commonly referred to as influencers. I'm sure you're familiar with influencers and influencer marketing to some extent. Now, that's a whole sort of channel of digital marketing now, as influencers on Instagram, YouTube, etc. But I think one of the underappreciated opportunities for using influencers is to, instead of contacting an influencer, getting them to, let's say, promote your products or services via their Instagram profile, which is absolutely something you can do. But what I would encourage you to at least test is getting permission. Obviously, you're going to have to hire them to do this, but getting permission from that influencer to use their likeness, use images of theirs, or maybe even video if they're going to record video in your ads. Not just get them to promote your stuff, but use that in your ads. Okay, now the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because I have somewhat of a name and a brand within the Facebook ads industry. If let's say a Facebook advertising related piece of software, okay, let's say it's a targeting software, and I get contacted by these sorts of businesses all the time, so I absolutely know this is the sort of thing they're looking for. I basically always say no, but I get contacted for this, for these opportunities. If they were to run ads with my face in the image, or with me recording a video, perhaps talking about the software and how good it is and all that sort of stuff, that ad is almost certainly going to do significantly better than the exact same equivalent without that. Because there will be enough people within their target audience that perhaps are part of my Facebook ads mastermind group, or have watched video of mine on YouTube, that are interested in Facebook advertising, that my face is going to help get them to stop scrolling, and it's also going to help lend some credibility if they like my content, of course, and if they trust what I put out. It's going to lend some credibility to the product or service. And as I said, this doesn't have to be me promoting it myself. It could just be me being in the ad that company is using. Now, I obviously, I across platforms maybe have an audience of 500,000 people. Okay, so there are influencers with much, much larger audiences in all sorts of different industries. There are also influencers with smaller audiences. So you can find, you don't just have to work with massive influencers. You can find them that operate at your level. But I think there is a big difference, and this is the thing that I really want to get across on this video. You could take your exact ads right now. Like, let's say you're running a video ad that's talking about your service, okay? If you can get someone that's known within your space to, add it onto the end of the video to provide an endorsement of that service, that might halve your cost per lead. Likewise, if you're trying to sell a product, And I know this because as a Facebook ads agency, we've done this a number of times. We've had clients we've worked with that have agreements with influencers. We've instigated some of that stuff ourselves, and the difference is night and day. It really is, and that's why I call this video a game changer, because it can be a game changer. Now, we're not in these scenarios. We're not getting the influencers to promote it themselves. We are using their brand to help our ad campaigns perform better. That could be with an image like this. It could be with video. Depends on your ad creative and what you're doing. We've run image ads where there's someone that's recognizable and is liked and trusted within the industry in the image, just kind of like the example right here, where it's just kind of like a headshot alongside the rest of the image ad, perhaps promoting the products with some text, highlighting the benefits, versus the exact same ad without that. And yeah, you can generate a cost per purchase that's half or sometimes even better than the equivalent, with everything else being equal, which, makes a lot of sense. And I think this is something that is not being done a lot at all, but can make a really big difference. There are certain industries where this is more important than others. If you operate in a really competitive industry, a lot of e-commerce businesses, a lot of dropshippers operate in hyper-competitive industries where there's very little differentiation. If someone can buy very similar products and services to yours on Amazon or from other Facebook advertisers, which for many businesses that is true to the order of tens of thousands of other advertisers advertising shoes or whatever happens to be, right? You need to build a brand to distinguish yourself. Now, you can do that yourself and take the next 3 to 5 years to do it, or you can massively speed up that process by leveraging other people's established brands and using that to help massively increase your performance. I mean, I said this can be an absolute game changer. And often what you'll find, and we've certainly found this, is that influencers will be more willing for you to say, look, we just love to use your image in our ads. We'll send you the product. Please only accept if you like it, think it's useful. We'll pay you a fee for it. They will often be more willing to do that and charge less for that service as opposed to promoting it to their own audience, because influencers, and this is something that me as a sort of small influencer within the Facebook advertising space, I know that I don't promote much other people's products and services and things like that, because A, I don't really have the time to vet them to make sure they're good, and B, I don't want to just be constantly promoting stuff to my audience. So most influencers are going to be somewhat they're going to have an idea of how much promotion they want to do. When you say to someone, we're going to use your likeness, your brand in our ads, that's less of an issue for them, because they're not thinking, oh, that's another sort of check mark against me promoting to my audience. They're not having to do that. Okay, so often you can get away with paying significantly less than if you're getting an influencer to promote to their audience. And of course, once you've got permission, you could spend, $500,000 on that particular campaign. You could spend even more. You could spend a lot less. But as you're saying, the scalability there and the ability to use that is there and available and ongoing, which is what makes it really powerful. Okay, so how do you go about finding these influencers then? And I think that one of the things that I really want to get across, because I've had the conversations around influencer marketing, particularly with combining them with Facebook ads, is people go, oh, well, we don't have the budget to engage influencers. Aren't they really expensive? And there's influencers that completely span. You have influencers, even in the digital marketing space, that have millions and millions of followers. Then you have influencers like me that have followers in the hundreds of thousands. You have influencers that have a couple thousand. I mean, you watching this video are an influencer over an amount of people. If you've never started your business, don't have any following, that might just be 20 family and friends. But you would have influence if they asked you about, okay, I know you're into watches, what sort of watch would you recommend? You would be able to influence their purchasing decision. So you can absolutely find a level to fit your budget. Obviously, the larger the name, the larger the profile, the more of an impact it's going to have. But you can start small, start really specific, see how things perform and work your way up. Okay, so how do you go about finding these these influencers? So because we're using Facebook ads and Instagram ads, I think the best place to start looking is on Instagram. So what I'd recommend you do is obviously come into Instagram and then make sure that you may already be aware of a bunch of people in your space, but for more, and you may think, okay, I'll reach out to those people. And that's exactly what you want to do, by the way. Just send them a message. I get these literally multiple per week. I'll get something asking me to promote via YouTube or to my Facebook group around some sort of product, service, software in the Facebook ads industry. So it's certainly something that's done a lot. So you may already be aware of the sorts of people you would think, oh, I'd love it if that person was involved in my ad campaign. And, you know, worst thing is they'll give you a price that's too expensive, or they'll say no. Fine, move on to someone else. There's loads. But if you're not, or perhaps you already know the really big names and you want to work with some smaller ones, I would just come in and start following tons of hashtags around whatever it is that you offer, and just monitor them. See who's using those hashtags. Check out their profile. Who comes up regularly? Who has engagement? You know, who has an audience that engages, that shows that they actually do have some name value and some brand in the industry. So let's say we were selling like dog pet related products, right? You know, I could come in here and search for like dog training, for example. Okay. I could search, and then I could, you know, the dog training hashtag, and, you know, you can obviously go through the post, but I would recommend that you spend a few hours, go in, I'm not going to do it because it's not relevant to me, but go in and follow a whole bunch of different hashtags around the things that are relevant to the products and services you sell, and have it as part of your sort of to-do list, going through and ticking and checking things and all that sort of stuff. Okay, that's step number one. Second thing to do would be just to come into Google and search for Instagram influencers. I did a little practice, dog training. Okay, and you'll find some good examples. Again, these might be quite large influencers at this point, maybe a little bit too large, but maybe not. You know, here's someone that I've no idea about that person or Instagram profile, but that's someone that's popped up. Dave's another one that's popped up there. You can just go through and take a bit of time and just go through the pages in Google who comes up as Instagram influencers, in this case dog training, or Instagram influencers, whatever your name happens to be. Okay, there may even be publications that have helped consolidate this information. So you've got the pet people to follow, top 10 dog influencers being consolidated there. Well worth going through. And if you are on the lower budget side of things and don't want to pay a huge amount for this, I'd recommend being more specific in your search terms. So if it, instead of dog training, which might be a bit broad, maybe it was something like recall dog training, and it might provide you with someone that really specializes in that. And therefore, you know, if you were, I don't know, selling really long leashes that allow you to do recall training, like 10-meter long leashes allow you to do recall training, long lines, then you could use that. And that might give you the sort of thing that you're looking for. So those would be the first two tactics. What I did in Google, you can also do in YouTube. I think there is an advantage. So like obviously influencers can have a following in various different locations. I think there are advantages to being somewhat Instagram and or Facebook focused, given that's where you're going to be advertising. Like if you were to take YouTube influencers, for example, and then run ads with them on Facebook and Instagram, it might not have quite the same impact as someone who's more active on Facebook and Instagram. So if you take Facebook as an example, like, you know, I have a large Facebook group, so I would be a really good influencer to run Facebook ads more than perhaps someone who had the same size audience but over on YouTube. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And then of course, if you don't want to take the time to go through this, there's other options. You can use some of the there's tons now of actual influencer platforms where you can find other influencers, where you can things like Upfluence is probably the one that most people talk about. They do cost more money obviously than finding it yourself, but they provide a much greater time saving, a much more streamlined approach to finding people. And don't overthink this. Like, find someone, test it out, pay them a bit of money, don't break the bank, see how it performs. Wow, this was a significant increase in performance. And just remember that when you are looking to invest in something like an influencer appearing within your ads on both Facebook and Instagram, if you spend, say, 10% of what you're planning to spend on your ad campaign, which might amount to quite a lot of money if you're planning to spend a reasonable amount on this ad campaign, and it improves your results by more than 10%, which if you pick someone who's relevant, it almost certainly will, that could be way more than worth it, right? Just run the numbers on it. So you might balk at, oh, this is going to cost a lot, but actually if it gets you a 10% improvement, it's paid for itself, 5% improvement, and it may well get a much larger improvement than that. And as I said, in certain industries that are hyper competitive, you need to stand out. You absolutely need to stand out, and an influencer is as close as you're going to get to a silver bullet that just takes you there. If you know that your audience are being advertised to by advertisers, and this happens all the time in dropshipping, you're being advertised to by advertisers that offer a very similar product at a similar price point, that is where you get your competitive advantage. Well, that's where you can straight away. It's by using influencers. So yeah, give that a go. Definitely let me know how it goes in the comments. Before you go, a couple of things I want to quickly mention. The first is our Facebook advertising services. So my company, Lead Guru, is a Facebook ads agency. We create, manage, and optimize Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns for our clients. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, you would like to work with a professional company that can help you get better results, we can certainly do that. The best next step is to book a free call with one of my team members. Link is in the video description below. We do ask that you have at least a 3K minimum budget, okay? So we're just not able to work with businesses that don't meet that requirement yet. So please only book a call if you meet those requirements. And yeah, go ahead, no obligation chat. We can just find out more about you. You can find out more about us, and we can see if we want to go from there. Other thing I want to mention is my Facebook ads mastermind group. I quickly alluded to it, but it's a place where I have a lot of influence. 112,000 members right now. Amazing community full of Facebook advertisers just like you. Free to join. Link in the video description. Get your questions answered. I do free live trainings. Well worth being involved. Okay, comment below to let me know if you found this useful, helpful. If you've tried this, please let me know. I'd find that very, very interesting. And yeah, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.